Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel in my second round of D23 Disney Parks predictions focused on the Disneyland Resort and Disney Cruise Line. I'm going to tell you up front, I feel like the unknowns are much greater for these two Disney destinations than they were for Walt Disney World, so I have fewer specific D23 announcement predictions, but that doesn't mean I'm expecting less news or announcements. In fact, I'm confident we're going to hear more about Disneyland and Disney Cruise Line at this D23 than we have in years past. So there's still plenty to talk about and to break down, but just know this video may be a little shorter than my last one because I don't want to fill up the video with wild card or Hail Mary guesses. So with that being said, and without further ado, let's get into what you're here for, which is what to expect from Disney Parks Chairman Josh D'Amaro during D23's Horizons Disney Experiences Showcase. And we're going to start with the OG, the Disneyland Resort. So, one of the announcements we know ahead of time is Disneyland is gaining a West Coast Pandora, the world of Avatar. For months, Disney CEO Bob Iger kept us guessing about whether his described Avatar experience for Disneyland would be something small and temporary, or just a walkthrough, or another fully realized world of Avatar just like an Animal Kingdom at Disney World. Iger eventually alleviated the suspense earlier this year when he shared this piece of concept art, confirming that Disneyland is getting a full Pandora land, but one themed after Avatar, The Way of Water, which I love because instead of twin lands like Galaxy's Edge, we're getting two completely different lands, but rooted in the same franchise and completely new stuff. But apart from this one piece of concept art, we really don't know anything. D23 is expected to fix that, and I'm predicting we're going to get new concept art and one that's more exact to what Disney is actually planning, as well as news as to just where at the Disneyland Resort this new Pandora will be built. And by the way, I don't think it's going to be the Hollywood backlot at DCA, just because that space makes more sense to be used for future Avengers campus expansions. Also, I'm hoping that maybe we'll get an appearance from James Cameron or Imagineer Joe Rohde when they break down this new Avatar land, so fingers crossed for that one. As for attractions we can expect, this artwork only shows an indoor/outdoor boat ride, and for months I've been hearing Disney is going to employ the same ride system that was used for Shanghai Disneyland Pirates, and I think that's a possibility. In fact, I'm going to go as far as to predict that because Avatar The Way of Water is the perfect property to use this ride system. And the ride vehicles in the artwork are notably larger than Animal Kingdom's Navi River Journey. If they were just throwing up some ideas on concept art, some blue sky ideas, they probably would have gone with something we've already seen. The fact they went bigger tells me that they were planning bigger from the start. And if this is going to be West Coast Pandora's flagship attraction, it has to rival Flight of Passage at Animal Kingdom. And the Shanghai Pirates ride system is the way to do that. I'm also going to predict now, although I don't expect to hear this at D23, that this new Pandora ride will include references to Avatar 3 and that film's new volcano fire-themed biome. James Cameron included references to Avatar 2 in Flight of Passage years before we saw the sequel, so why not continue that trend? As for Disneyland Pandora's second attraction, I'm honestly not sure if we're going to get one. Space is a bigger problem at Disneyland and DCA than it is at Disney World, and since Disneyland is looking to build other lands as part of DisneylandForward, I'm not sure how the budget's going to allot for that, so I'm going to predict now that a second Pandora ride may be teased, but it'll be kept vague and likely part of a phase 2 plan we won't see for years down the road. I'm also fully expecting a new Pandora quick service restaurant similar to Satuli Canteen, but with a coastal Way of Water theme and a gift shop as well. And I think they'll be located in this space you're seeing in the artwork. All right, next big announcement I'm predicting at D23 is that new Tomorrowland rumor. This rumor resurfaced in recent weeks along with buzz about reviving the People Mover. Both of these things were seriously expected back in 2022, but in my opinion, it was pulled off the roster of announcements last minute, which I understand happens more than you might think. So I believe Disney and Imagineering have had plans and ideas for this new Tomorrowland, but they haven't got Disney to commit until now. And I think part of the reason why they haven't until now is a Tomorrowland overhaul will drastically affect Disneyland park operations and will be incredibly expensive since they're having to renovate a 60-plus-year-old space and they're not able to start from scratch. And if you've ever renovated or restored an old house or building, you know there are going to be unforeseen problems, budgets will be blown, and it will go over schedule. But I do think they're willing to go for it now, since Disneyland simply can't continue to ignore Tomorrowland in its current state, and especially at a D23 Parks panel that has been hyped to extremes, and after Disney has promised to invest millions, if not billions, into the parks. As for the People Mover, I want this to be true, but what many fans don't understand is that the People Mover track runs straight down the spine of Tomorrowland, and it was dramatically changed for the short-lived rocket rods. A redo is going to be incredibly complex, if it's even possible. So, while I'm predicting a new Tomorrowland, I'm not going to predict a new People Mover, but I'm right there with Disneyland fans hoping that I'm wrong. As for the theming and overall aesthetic for this new Tomorrowland, with Disneyland's 70th anniversary coming up next year, why not go mid-century with like 1960s theme? For some perspective, I'm about to make everyone feel old right now, but 1960 is as far away from 2024 as 1960 was from the 1890s, and that was the time period of Main Street USA, by the way. And plus, the mid-century style is part of Disneyland history, but still manages to look more futuristic than anything today. It's also still in style, and this may be a big swing, but Marvel Studios has the Fantastic Four coming out next year, with a whole 1960s timeline in a futuristic-looking city. So, synergy, maybe? But those are all the reasons why I think this will be the direction that they go in. And I think it will be more of a timeless direction, which is something all Tomorrowlands have struggled with. I also want to mention that if they intend to keep the Star Wars Launch Bay building, and since it's the 70th anniversary, maybe they'll bring back Carousel of Progress because, as I'm about to get into, another retro attraction from another part of the park is likely to be confirmed as returning at D23. And that is the Country Bear Jamboree, but this time as the Country Bear Musical Jamboree. So, first, several months ago, a Big Al statue strangely appeared at Disney California Adventure, and right around the time that Disneyland's Critter Country closed down for a refurb. Now, just days ago, Disneyland announced that the Hungry Bear restaurant is being reimagined into Hungry Bear Barbecue Jamboree, and it will be inspired by the Country Bears and their travels to musical halls across the country. So, is the Country Bear Jamboree, or rather the new Country Bear Musical Jamboree, coming to Disneyland? It definitely seems like it. But I should also note that the Disney Parks blog, just hours ago, dropped a reference to the former Country Bear Vacation Jamboree version of the show and included the hashtag Horizons. So, given the Hungry Bear news, I buy this rumor. And following this recent Parks blog reference, I'm going to predict that not only are the Country Bears coming back to Disneyland and to the new renovated Critter Country, but also the vacation version of the show. Okay, circling back on Disneyland's 70th anniversary, I fully predict that we're going to get a 70th anniversary celebration tease from Josh tomorrow, but I don't think it'll be on the same scale as the 60th anniversary since the Disneyland 100 celebration just ended. And I know one of the big rumors out there for this anniversary is that a Walt Disney audio animatronic will be introduced into the park and likely alternate shows with great moments with Mr. Lincoln. And I don't have insider knowledge on this one, and maybe this is just me, but I don't see this happening. Granted, I love Walt Disney. I love any time the parks celebrate him and his legacy, but a Walt Disney animatronic just feels weird to me, even kind of creepy. I also think it's a bit of a risk with guests. So my money is that this is not coming to Disneyland, and if they decide to do anything with it, it'll be in a limited capacity and for special events. Okay, moving on down the list, we need to talk about Disneyland Forward, which is the expansion to the Disneyland Resort, which was approved by the city of Anaheim earlier this year. And this project is so mysterious and it can go in so many ways. And I haven't heard one way or another what Imagineering has settled on. So I'm going to give some broad brush predictions, beginning with Wakanda. I actually talked about this in a Boardwalk Times podcast about the Marvel theme park universe, but I fully expect and predict a Black Panther Wakanda land as part of Disneyland Forward. It's been part of the project concept since the start, and I've lost count of how many times that Josh D'Amaro has listed it as a possibility within the last 2 years. I also think it's the perfect way to create another Marvel land, but one that's completely different and unique from Avengers Campus, but still ties together with the MCU. I've also long speculated that Avengers Campus's Black Panther Wakanda Forever celebration in late 2022 was a bit of a dress rehearsal, and also that maybe the first idea for that Avengers Campus e-ticket ride was scrapped because they wanted to build a Wakanda land and Disney wanted to save that ride idea for that land. So I predict Wakanda. Secondly, I predict a Frozen Land for Disneyland Forward because 1, Disneyland doesn't really have anything related to Frozen, and 2, a Frozen Land is a surefire hit. 3, it's been a bit of a Frozen Land blitz at the international parks, and Disney loves to replicate lands and rides. Why not continue that for Disneyland? So those are the 2 I'm most confident about, a Frozen Land and a Wakanda Land for Disneyland Forward. But after the debut of Fantasy Springs at Tokyo Disney Sea, I also think a Tangled ride is a real possibility. American audiences seem to receive this ride better than they did the Peter Pan attractions. Entangled as a property still feels new and fresh and offers a broad appeal. So I'm not going to predict a Tangled ride, but it would not surprise me. But in regard to Fantasy Springs, I'm wondering if we should be expecting a Fantasy Springs kind of quasi-sequel for Disneyland Forward. The artwork for Disneyland Forward suggests a focus on lush landscapes and water, which is like Fantasy Springs. And since stateside Disney fans love what they saw at Tokyo, I can't help but wonder if that new land's coverage here in the US was a bit of a test run for Disneyland Forward. A few other predictions I want to mention. I fully expect an opening date announcement for Tiana's Bayou Adventure and the new Haunted Mansion area. I know that some have speculated that attendees will be given a preview at D23. Normally, I would agree with this, but I'm now doubtful since I don't think Disneyland is ready for that, and will be ready for that by August, and especially after Disney World's operations problems. I'm also expecting new missions for Disneyland's Millennium Falcon Smuggler's Run, just like I did for Walt Disney World's Millennium Falcon ride, and I'm hoping they're based on the original Star Wars trilogy or Disney Plus shows. I think that's a real possibility. And in fact, I think if this goes forward, I think that's likely to open at Disneyland first and then Disney World second, as that's usually how it goes, and Lucasfilm is based in California. Finally, let's talk about Avengers Campus's multiverse ride, featuring King Thanos and pretty much every MCU character in existence. This concept was first announced by Josh D'Amaro and Kevin Feige at the 2022 D23, but in reality, fans have been waiting for this attraction much longer. An e-ticket ride for Avengers Campus has been in the works for years, in fact, and it was delayed, and then the original idea was scrapped. And then last year, Imagineering gave us a little more info, including a first look at the ride vehicle, which is a mix of Tony Stark's time suits, Xandarian jump points, and Wakandan technology. And the ride vehicles look like the ones for Rise of the Resistance, and or Fantasy Springs' new Peter Pan ride. We also learned last year that this ride will feature a mix of physical and digital components. The problem is, after 2 years, Imagineering has yet to break ground on this concept. And like I said, we've been waiting even before those 2 years. And Marvel Studios' multiverse saga is struggling, to say the least. So this is a bit of a toss-up here. I do think tomorrow and hopefully Kevin Feige will come on stage and talk about it. I'm hoping for new information, artwork, and maybe a timeline for when to expect it. But my concern is that it may not happen for a while even yet, because it may depend on when Avengers 5 goes into production, as Imagineering will need to film Marvel stars for certain cameos and performances. So I predict we're going to get more info on the King Thanos ride, but I'm also predicting we're not going to see it for a number of years. So those are my predictions for the Disneyland Resort. Let's shift focus from land to sea with D23 predictions for Disney Cruise Line. So Disney Cruise Line is in the middle of an unprecedented expansion with the Disney Treasure, the sister ship of the Disney Wish, which set sail in December. We've also got news of the Disney Adventure, which is Disney's biggest cruise ship ever, and that will be based out of Singapore, and which debuts in 2025. We've also learned about the Disney Destiny, which is another ship in the Wish class with a heroes and villains theme that comes out in spring of 2026. And then just weeks ago, Disney announced another Wish class ship that will be based in Tokyo, and that will debut in 2029. So that's a lot, but here's what I'm predicting tomorrow to discuss at D23. I think we'll get some news about the Disney Treasure, but it will mostly be promotional, as I'm expecting most of the really good stuff will already be known as the ship sets sail roughly 4 months after D23, and Disney wants guests to book. But maybe they'll have a surprise or two in store for the Treasure. But most of the focus, I believe, will be on the Disney Adventure and Disney Destiny and what those two ships will offer. With the Adventure being a mega cruise ship and Disney's first mega cruise ship, the possibilities on board are endless. I actually did a video breaking down what we know about the Adventure and how it's likely to be marketed as a theme park at sea. I'll be sure to include that in the description if you want to check it out. So yeah, we should get a lot of news about the Adventure and its itinerary. As for the Disney Destiny, the heroes and villains theme is truly unique. I know some have speculated that the villains angle could be reflective or recycled from what Disney is planning for the potential Magic Kingdom Villains Land. I think that's a real possibility, but I'm most curious about how they're going to make this ship and its theme luxurious and elegant, which is what many Disney Cruise Line ships offer. I'm also excited to hear what Marvel experiences they've cooked up for this one, which, thanks to the ship's comic book-like announcement video, alludes to Spider-Man and Black Panther. But overall, I think I'm most intrigued to learn about this newly announced ship based out of Tokyo that we will not see until 2029. I do think we'll get a name reveal at D23. How much more, I don't know, since it's so new. But with this ship being created with the Oriental Land Company, who made Tokyo Disneyland and Tokyo Disney Sea, it's likely to be the best ship in the fleet with experiences in detail that we have never seen before, and it's likely to feature a lot of Duffy and Friends. A big question I have as well is, how will Josh D'Amaro handle Lookout Key at Lighthouse Point, which opened this past June, as its reception has been mixed at best. I have not been there personally, but just from what I've seen, and I've watched a lot of footage, it's one of the most glaring encapsulations of recent years' Disney budget cuts and paywalls. So how will D'Amaro talk about that? Will he even talk about it? It's a big question of mine. Finally, and as usual, I predict Disney will announce new itineraries for the fleet and some new upgrades to the older ships. So there it is. Those are my 2024 D23 predictions for the Disneyland Resort. and for Disney Cruise Line. If you enjoyed this video, if you agree with any of my predictions, I would so appreciate it if you would give this video a like and consider subscribing. I'm a travel and entertainment reporter with a passion for the Disney parks, and I love breaking down and analyzing Disney park news, as well as documenting some of my travel adventures. I will have one more D23 video about a major rumor and a potential announcement. And there'll be a lot of speculation. There's a lot of buzz around this. I'm going to get into all of that. So stay tuned for that if you're looking for more D23. But regardless, thank you so much for watching today, and I hope you have a magical day.